Steve here, and now that we're closing out 2025, it's time to talk about which 9mm pistols actually proved themselves this year. Not the ones with hype, not the ones people flexed online. I mean the guns that survived the months, the mileage, and the mistakes shooters don't like admitting. Because every December, the same question pops up. Did you trust the right pistol this year? Or are there other shooters walking around with something better than what's on your hip? That thought alone keeps a lot of folks watching. And honestly, this year humbled a lot of big names. A few pistols everyone swore were unbeatable got exposed fast, and some underdogs no one paid attention to ended up making veteran shooters second guess their choices. And the wild part? The pistol that finished at number 1, nobody guessed it. Not one serious shooter that I talked to. So let's close out the year the right way, starting with the gun that blindsided more people than anything else in 2025. Starting off the list is the Springfield Hellcat Pro Comp. And look, this isn't a pistol that tried to grab headlines in 2025. It didn't show up with some wild redesign or flashy gimmick. It just kept doing exactly what a carry gun is supposed to do. Run clean, run consistent, and stay controllable when the adrenaline kicks in. A lot of shooters brushed it off early in the year, thinking it was just another micro compact with a comp slapped on. But as the months rolled by, the Hellcat Pro Comp settled into something a lot more respectable. The comp actually makes a difference on quick follow-ups, the grip feels more planted than its size suggests, and the gun has that steady, no-nonsense attitude that starts to matter when you look back at a full year of shooting. For me, the turning point came during a late summer range day. Long strings, warm hands, real recoil, and the Hellcat just held on. No drama, no excuses. And honestly, it's a pistol every shooter should try at least once just to feel how steady a carry gun can really be. If you like the way that one held up, wait till you hear about what comes next. You know how some pistols feel nice at first, but the moment you actually start shooting fast, they start showing their true colors? Yeah, this isn't one of those. The FN 509 Tactical feels the same from the first shot to the last. Solid, planted, almost like it doesn't care what kind of day you're having. You ever notice how your grip slips a little when you're tired, or how some guns feel like they're pushing you around instead of working with you? With the 509, that doesn't really happen. It just sits in your hand the way a duty gun should. Steady, straight, predictable. Not fancy, not dramatic, just steady. And that's the part people miss. Not every gun needs to wow you. Some guns just need to show up and behave, which effing does. Every time I picked it up this year, it's given me the same feeling. Alright, let's get the work done. If you've never shot a pistol that feels this grounded, you should run a Mac through it at least once. And then you'll understand why shooters respect it. Alright? Next one hits a whole different part of your shooting. Some shooters forget about the VP9. 2025 reminded everyone why you should never sleep on an HK trigger, because this pistol has a way of calling you out without turning into a punishment tool. Most guns hide your bad habits just enough to make you feel better than you are. The VP9 doesn't bother with that. You get lazy on the press, it shows. You slow down and do things right, it tightens up immediately. It's honest, and that honesty hits different when you're actually trying to improve. The sights are the part nobody talks about. They don't just lift and settle, they rise straight up and drop back down like they're on a hinge, and that makes your own mistakes painfully easy to spot. If you're jerking the trigger, you'll see it. If your follow through is trash, the sights will snitch instantly. There's no hiding behind the gun. It tells the truth every rep. If you've never run a pistol that checks your fundamentals this fast, try the VP9 right now. It'll show you exactly where you're solid and exactly where you're full of it. Yeah, that's the VP9. Now let's move on. You should try this thing at least once in your life, just once, to understand the kind of pistol that refuses to die. In a year ruled by striker-fired guns, the PX4 showed up like an old fighter who still knows how to win rounds. You look at it and think it's outdated, something the market should have thrown away years ago, but 2025 didn't treat it like trash. When the shiny new pistols started choking in filthy high-use environments, the PX4 kept showing up in rental counters, old apartment holsters, and gear piles nobody has cleaned since Obama was in office. Everything else was quitting, whereas this one kept going until it was too stubborn to retire. It's not nostalgia that makes it interesting, it's survival. The rotating barrel keeps the recoil rolling instead of snapping, even when the gun looks like it's been dragged through gravel. The internals take abuse like they're carved out of leftover tank metal. Nothing about it is gentle, nothing about it is modern. It just refuses to stop. That's enough from this one, let's flip the whole mood. I expected budget performance, but instead, this thing ran like it was trying to embarrass pistols twice its price. A shooter suggested I look at this gun, and I actually laughed. Yeah, right. Taurus budget magic? Here we go. But I looked away, and oh man, the thing came out swinging like it had a score to settle. It didn't warm up, it didn't ease in. It just went straight for my ego. What pissed me off wasn't the recoil or even the groups, it was the attitude. The GX4 Carry shoots like it's trying to catch you slipping. You rush it, it holds steady. You relax too much? Fuck. It smacks you with a reminder that you're not as dialed in as you think. And the worst part? I behaved like I'd never shot before, even though I'd already burned through more than 300 rounds with it. The gun stayed confident. I was the one trying not to look stupid. Every shooter should try this once just to see how wrong you can be about a budget gun when it decides it's done acting cheap. Next one changes the whole tempo again. There's an old match shooter at Shady Oaks Gun Range in Center Park, the kind of guy who's been shooting longer than most people there have been breathing. He never reacts to anything, doesn't brag, doesn't flinch, doesn't celebrate. You hand him a pistol, he treats it like another wrench in a toolbox. But the day he picked up the TS2 Orange, the whole mood at Shady Oaks changed without anyone saying a word. He ran one slow, clean string, lowered the gun, and just stared at the target like it owed him money. No one smile, no joke, just that quiet stare. Then he muttered, "Yeah, this thing doesn't miss." And from him, that might as well be a damn trophy ceremony. The man doesn't hand out praise. Guns don't shock him, yet this one did. That was the moment I realized the TS2 isn't just accurate, it's built with a kind of ruthless consistency that forces respect out of people who don't give it lightly. It's fast, locked in, almost unfair once it starts running. When a shooter like him stops and respects a pistol, every shooter should try it at least once to understand why. Some guns don't ask for respect, they just take it. The G17 didn't dominate the year, it anchored it. Reliability doesn't shout, it just keeps showing up. And that's the part nobody likes saying out loud. Every shooter wants their favorite pistol to finally knock Glock off the hill. They want the new stuff, the flashy stuff, the expensive stuff to finally prove a point. But when the pressure hits, everything suddenly becomes very honest. People keep abandoning other pistols, hoping something finally beats the G17, and it never happens. They end up right back here, irritated that it refuses to lose. And that's exactly why every shooter should try it at least once. Not to join some Glock cult, not to pretend it's exciting, but to understand the baseline every other 9mm is forced to compete against, whether the fanboys admit it or not. But I do. The MOS setup just makes it cleaner. You want optics? Easy. You want consistency? It doesn't change character halfway through a string. The gun stays the same even when you don't. You can hate Glock all day long, but you can't replace what this pistol represents. Alright, enough about the anchor. The next one doesn't stay steady, it hits back. It walked straight into 2025 and steamrolled half the guns people thought were untouchable. That trigger alone humbled pistols twice its price, and the crazy part is how fast the respect spread. You'd see confident shooters step up like nothing special was coming, then the first shot breaks and you watch their whole posture change. It's that rising shock, the kind you don't want to admit you felt. But the real damage happened with the law officers who showed up thinking their issued guns were the standard. The PDP didn't just outperform their gear, it exposed their habits. Clean break, violent return, fast second shot. It made good shooters look slow and slow shooters look confused. You could see the moment their confidence cracked, like the pistol was whispering, "Fix yourself." And this is exactly why every shooter should try a PDP just long enough to get humbled by what real performance actually feels like. Because this beast doesn't care who you are. Behind this trigger, everyone gets checked. If that rattled the officers, wait for the one that shakes the competition shooters next. You ever ignore a gun for so long that when you finally pick it up, you feel a little stupid? That was me with the P226 Elite. I found mine sitting in the used case at McBride's on San Gabriel Street in Austin. Dust on the slide, tag hanging crooked, looking like something time moved past. I bought it thinking, yeah, old classic, nice to own. Didn't expect much else. And that guilt hit hard the moment I actually ran it. The first shots weren't loud or dramatic. They were quiet in that dangerous way. The weight settled, the trigger broke like a clean snap of bone, and the sights came back so calmly it felt unfair. That's when the shock rolled in. All these modern pistols fighting for attention, and here's this metal-framed legend reminding me why half the industry copied it for decades. It wasn't nostalgic, it was humiliating how fast it showed me I'd underestimated it. And this is exactly why every shooter should run a P226 at some point, just to understand how far modern guns still have to go to match that kind of discipline. Some guns ask for respect, this one takes it back. And the next gun? That one comes swinging right out the gate. Everybody thinks they already know the Rival. Good value gun, nothing wild, a middle-of-the-list pistol. And that's exactly how most people miss what's hiding inside of it. The shock doesn't hit on first glance, it hits later, out where nothing helps your shooting. For me, that moment wasn't on a bench, it hit on a ranch outside of Georgetown, Texas, with uneven ground, wind cutting sideways, and targets that refuse to sit still because nothing out there stays where you left it. My buddy showed up with his premium gun, the kind people brag about before they even load it. The Rival wasn't supposed to compete with that, but the more we shot, the quieter he got. The Canik stayed flat, fast, and honest. Too honest. His expensive gun started losing confidence, but the Rival did not. And this is exactly why every shooter should run a Rival in the real world, especially new shooters. Not because it's easy, oh no, but because it doesn't lie to you. Hidden value becomes impossible to ignore once the dust starts moving. No benches, no perfect lighting, no excuses, just truth, and he didn't like the way it looked. If that rattled a premium gun on open land, the next one rattles shooters everywhere. The Staccato XC wasn't supposed to scare professionals, but it did. This gun doesn't ease into anything. It hits full speed on the first trigger press, and if you're not ready for that pace, it'll run straight past you. The XC shoots like a loophole in the rules, the kind of performance that doesn't stay legal or common for long. Guns like this don't just show up, they slip through, and if you're smart, you pay attention before they disappear. Jeet, you know him, was running a timed split drill at an indoor training bay. He's built for pressure, the guy who jokes during beep ready, but the XC screwed up his rhythm completely. First run, the timer beeped, and the gun dragged him into a speed he wasn't planning for. His follow-ups were too fast, transitions too sharp. He actually stepped back, annoyed, like the pistol was mocking him for being human. That wasn't accuracy, that was mechanical aggression. And if you call yourself a serious shooter and you've never run an XC, you're lying to yourself. It shows you what perfection looks like before perfection gets regulated out of existence. If that felt like a challenge, the next pistol is a reality check. This gun rose in 2025 the way a working man earns respect. Slow, steady, undeniable. But the rise wasn't clean. It scraped its way up the market, cutting into sales, cutting into reputations, and forcing every gun that thought it owned this year to look over its shoulder. The M&P 9 2.0 Compact didn't climb, it pushed others down. A shop owner off North Lamar in Austin told me the part nobody wants to admit. The guns disappearing first weren't the shiny trending pistols, it was these. Real shooters were buying them. Range employees, instructors, retired cops, competitive guys who just needed a backup. But backups don't empty shelves, threats do. And every brand that used to laugh at the M&P started watching their numbers dip. The gun feels honest in a dangerous way. Recoil softened, grip that refuses to quit, trigger that settles in like it knows you better than you know yourself. This is the moment shooters understand. You need to try the M&P 2.0 because the guns you love might not protect your pride anymore. If that was the quiet takeover, the next pistol isn't quiet at all. I know, you didn't expect this. Nobody did. And honestly, the way this gun landed in my hands was stupid. A buddy tossed it to me at the range earlier this year and said, "Here, shoot this thing before I sell it." He wasn't serious about it. I wasn't either. It felt like one of those quick novelty tries you forget 5 minutes later. But the moment I fired it, the whole mood changed. The Max 9 didn't act like a budget carry gun, it acted like a pistol that's sick of being underestimated. The recoil rhythm tightened up, the sights returned faster than they had any right to, and suddenly, that stupid little gun started punching way above its weight. That's when I realized why shooters kept buying it. Not the beginners, not the hype chasers, but the people who actually carry every day. If you love a pistol that earns its place instead of begging for it, this thing belongs on your shopping list. It's the underdog that stopped acting like one. And if the Max 9 blindsided you, wait until the bonus picks start rolling in. Those are the guns people wish they never underestimated. And now, if you want the Glock feeling without the Glock attitude, the MR920 is the closest thing to cheating. It shoots like someone took a Glock, sanded off every rough edge, tightened every loose area, and fixed everything people complained about but pretend doesn't bother them. It's smoother, quicker, cleaner, like the gun is politely correcting you instead of wrestling with you. And that's why real Glock shooters get nervous around it. The MR920 feels like the version of their gun they always wish existed but didn't want to admit. It runs with the same confidence, just with a stubborn personality. You pick it up, and the first thought is, yeah, this is what Glock meant to do. If you love Glock performance but want something that treats you better, put this in your shopping list. Next bonus, that one doesn't borrow from Glock, it bites back. Small frame, big bite. The Micro 9 proved in 2025 that a carry gun doesn't have to feel fragile. Most tiny pistols feel nervous in your hand, like they're hoping you go easy on them. The Micro 9 doesn't ask for that. It snaps back with real authority, the kind of confidence you only expect from guns twice its size. And shooters finally stopped treating it like a backup pocket option. This year, it earned real carry respect. Smooth draw, tight recoil pattern, and a punch that makes you forget how small it actually is. If you're the type who wants a compact that behaves like a grown-up pistol, this one belongs on your radar. If you love a small gun with a real attitude, the Micro 9 is the one that refuses to act tiny. Next bonus, that one doesn't just surprise you, it outruns you. This is the gun that turned compact carry into a full-on arms race. The X Macro didn't show up to compete, it showed up to make every other compact look outdated the second you pick it up. Bigger capacity, cleaner tracking, faster follow-ups, and all in a package nobody expected to hit this hard. The crazy part? It doesn't just raise the standard, it embarrassed it. Shooters who swore by their old compacts suddenly started just testing the X Macro, then quietly switching to it. It wasn't hype, it wasn't marketing, it was the uncomfortable truth. The gun simply does more than it should at the size. If you're the type who wants a carry pistol that feels like it's pushing the whole category forward, the X Macro is the one everyone else is now chasing. Alright, that closes out the year. These are the 9mm pistols that actually earned their spot in 2025. Not the ones with marketing noise, but the ones that prove themselves when the months, the mileage, and the shooters put them through hell. And if you've made it to the end, you're already ahead of most folks at the range. Most shooters are still arguing about guns that didn't even survive the year, but you know what actually worked. And here's the thing, 2026 is about to shake a few brands harder than they expect. I'm already testing the pistols that might flip the whole lineup again. If you want the first look at what's coming, the next video's already waiting for you. This is Steve, so shoot straight and choose honest tools.